favourite Fanatics, it's Johanna from High Tea Toys. Welcome to the video about The Shire! Very excited to be reviewing that for you. So after two amazing sets in 2023 and 2024, I know everybody wanted more Lord of the Rings sets. It was like the main thing on my wanted list for this year, for sure. Bag End in the Shire is obviously one of the most iconic locations in the movies, so to be getting a LEGO version of that is really, really exciting. This is, of course, a location we have seen before in LEGO, and we've seen it in 2012. This set is grandly titled The Shire, and it has 9 minifigures and 2,017 pieces. So in the set you get the iconic Bag End, part of it, and various side builds as well as 9 minifigures, which some figures that you get in the set were ones that I did not expect to see in LEGO at any point. It's also using some really cool elements to create the curves, really great techniques, but much more understated than Rivendell. Talking about Rivendell, it has some really big boots to fill, so does it live up to that level? First impressions, when I first saw this set, when I opened it up, oh my god, it blew me away. I was really excited. I had some concerns initially. It didn't look very big in the picture, and also it looked really bright, and I was initially skeptical about the use of bright green over just green to create the landscaping, because I was like, is that gonna just be too vibrant? Is that gonna just stand out too much? These fears disappeared as I was building it. I will go into more detail in a minute. Building it, it was even better than I had expected, just because there's a lot of things that the images don't really show very well, like the good building techniques and the subtle curves that just do not translate in imagery very well. Obviously, I've alluded to it, it's open back. I think if you look at Rivendell as well as Barad-dûr, that isn't really very surprising. I wasn't ever really expecting a fully enclosed Bag End, mostly also just from a part perspective as well as a display perspective. If we were to make like a movie accurate Bag End, it would be such a sort of awkward thing to fit on anybody's shelf. It'd be really difficult to display. So I think making it open back made a lot of sense, and I think they did a really good job with the 3 sort of semi-rooms that they have in there to make it feel like you just kind of get a little snapshot of what's inside and still really have that feel of Bag End. Having said all of that, I think we need to dive into the minifigures that the set comes with. Figures in a set are a huge reason to buy or not buy a set, especially if it's a pricier set. Obviously, the other problem is we were incredibly spoiled with Rivendell, where we got the whole Fellowship in one foul swoop, as well as lots of other cool figures, so that is like really just star level. So this set comes in a little bit below that. There's some really cool figures as well as beautiful torsos that make this set really interesting and worthwhile in my opinion. So the lineup of the set consists of 9 really cool figures, but let's start with a few ones that we've seen before. So we're having Bilbo, Frodo, Sam, Gandalf, and Merry and Pippin. All of these figures you've seen before, but in this set I feel like they're suitably different, except for Gandalf, which is an obvious one, that they are still new and fresh and fun. Also get Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot and Rosie, which I wasn't expecting, but I think are incredibly appropriate figures to be adding to a set called The Shire. So starting off with Gandalf, even though he's obviously the most similar one to the previous set we've seen him in, he still is slightly different to the Rivendell one. He has got a different face print, which obviously is mostly hidden by the beard, but it is different, just so you know. Otherwise, he's mostly the same. He's got the same cape, he's got the option for the hair or the hat, he's got the option to sit down and also have the skirt piece. All of those things were already so good, they didn't really need changing. I still appreciate that as a slightly different face print though. Frodo is wearing a beautifully ornate jacket in this set, and it is just fantastic. It's such a good new torso. His face is different as well. I wasn't entirely sold on the smile to start with a little gap between his teeth, but then if I looked at the images of Elijah Wood, I was like, I guess it's accurate, so I'll let it slide. You can both make him sit and stand up, because they're giving you the headlight bricks and the 1x1 plates again, same for Bilbo, which is fantastic. That means he can sit on the wagon with Gandalf, he can sit under a tree. I think that's a fantastic addition that they started doing with Rivendell. The only 2 different types of Hobbit feet in this set are dark brown and light nougat and dark blue and light nougat. Because there's some skirt pieces in the set, it doesn't feel too samey between all the different Hobbits. Then moving on from Frodo, we have Bilbo. Obviously he's one of the stars of the set, it's his birthday party after all, and he's wearing a beautiful jacket. His torso print is just fantastic. I think it's my favourite torso print in this set. It also doesn't show any skin colour, so you could quite easily use that torso on a yellow minifigure if you wanted to use it, for example, in your city. His face is also different to Rivendell, because obviously he doesn't have that like scary moment face in this set. He just is looking happy and smiley and appropriate for this set. Then again we have Sam. Just like Frodo, we've seen Sam twice before, and he is using the same face print. I do not like the face print that they use for Sam. It just doesn't feel like my kind, good-hearted, selfless Sam. It's way too cynical. It's actually the same face print that they used for Percy Weasley in the book exclusive, and actually they changed Percy Weasley's face slightly for the Burrow, but it's still very similar, and I think it's much more appropriate for Percy than it is for my beautiful Sam. His torso is new and does look really nice. I'm glad he's got a bit of a different torso, but I think the face print is something that I just won't get over. Two more characters we've seen before, Merry and Pippin. So obviously they were in their travel outfits in Rivendell, and here they are a fantastic couple of minifigures in this set because they come with dual-sided faces and also additional hair, and you will see why, because they are both depicted as their jolly selves, as well as after they set up the dragon firework with their hair on end and soot all over their faces, and I think it's fantastic. I would really like to build a little dishwashing station side build for the set just because I think that'd be funny to put them in there, just like the punishment Gandalf gives them. Their torsos are obviously also unique and they look beautiful. In fact, just so I don't have to say it for every figure, every single torso, except for Rosie's one, does not show a skin colour on it, so you can easily change them for all of your minifigures and any users that you have, which is brilliant. Let's move on to Rosie. I'm super pleased that we get Rosie. She's got a unique torso print and a dark blue skirt piece over her legs, which make her look just super festive. Her torso is so beautifully detailed and accurate. She does not have a unique face print. Her face has been used previously, but only once in the witch that was in the Ollivander's Harry Potter playset. Going along the theme of Harry Potter, if you look at Mrs. Proudfoot, she has a very grumpy frown on her face, and it's a dual-sided face, but actually that's the same face that they used for Mr. Weasley in the latest big UCS Burrow. When I recognised Mr. Weasley's face on Mrs. Proudfoot, I did have a little chuckle. I thought that was pretty funny. Mrs. Proudfoot does look amazing. She actually has a completely new mould for her skirt. I think the skirt looks amazing. Obviously, a new mould means a higher price for the set. However, I think it's appropriately used. I really wish we would have seen at least one more minifigure with the same mould, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm curious to see what they're going to be using this mould for in the future. If I know anything about modern LEGO, I know that they very rarely make a mould and only use it once, so I'm curious to see if they're going to be using it in a botanical set or anything of the sort. Then, last but absolutely not least, we have Mr. Proudfoot, such an iconic character. I actually recognised him instantly. And it's just so funny to see him included in the set with his grumpy face as well as a happy smiling face. Comes with a broom, which is very appropriate. His torso looks beautiful, and as far as I can tell, his face print is unique, though there is currently one in print that looks really similar. It just has slightly different lines. Having looked at all these beautiful figures in detail, I just want to talk about the set itself, and I'm going to mainly focus first on the actual main build of Bag End, because that's the thing that you build with the first two booklets, and obviously the star of this show, let's be honest here. As I said, initially I felt like it looked quite small on the box art, but actually building it in real life, you realise that it's actually not that small, and you kind of keeps adding. Because it's quite low, it does kind of spread out sideways a lot, and even like if I'm sitting here looking at my viewfinder, it looks smaller in pictures and videos than it feels in real life. You build this set in 3 sections, which is a really fun way to build it, and also kind of adds the subtle curves to it. I thought that was really fun. The way that this set sort of curves backwards is really interesting. I have some imagery of the bottom so you can kind of see what I mean, because it really doesn't translate very well on camera, but it looks beautiful. Because of these interesting building techniques not being that obvious in imagery, it's actually an absolute delight when you start building, because these clever little ways to add these curves both on the building itself as well as to make it curve round are really subtle and just like understated. Like, it's not shouting about like, look how clever I am, it's just subtly clever. It was an absolute delight, and it meant that there was a lot of interesting things to learn about adding curves to your mocks. It was way more clever than it looks in the pictures, and I had so much fun building it. One thing that did immediately catch my eye and I got really excited about was the printed masonry tiles. So the curved ones that you see around the door as well as around the windows. They're so good. I'm so glad that we get prints. They get used around the fireplace inside the building as well. I think if they ever ended up on pad, they will be very popular because they would be great for mocks. So if we quickly move our attention to the exterior of the build, there is a few things that I want to highlight really quickly, which is the woven fence technique with the boomerang pieces. Brilliant, so simple, so effective. I also really like the amount of new pieces used in the exterior. We're having the new rose pieces used as the cabbages, as well as like the sunflowers, which I think are just a really nice touch of yellow, which add to the liveliness of the exterior. I really like the little drops of colour and plants around the set. I think it makes it come to life. Initially I was concerned that the exterior looked too bricky with all the slopes where you can't attach things, but actually in real life I think the balance is really good. The most important thing that I think showcases modern LEGO techniques very well is the tree on top. It's actually a really simple design, but it's so effective, it's so organic looking, it's such a nice shape, and really I think this is the perfect you versus the guy who tells you not to worry about meme if you compare it to the old tree on top of Bag End. We actually also have a new mold for the set for the windows, which isn't actually super obvious when you build it, but you have a panel piece in which they cut a round for a window, which is such an effective way to still be able to use the lattice pieces but then also have the round window finish on the exterior. It's not as effective on the interior, but it doesn't look out of place either. As I mentioned, my initial worry was that the choice of bright green for the exterior was way too bright, and actually seeing it in real life, I have to highlight how brilliantly they have walked this balance between bright, joyful Shire, because obviously when you do look at the Shire on screen, it is very vibrant and colourful and bright. It's very saturated, but actually they added in a lot of muted colours like medium nougat, dark tan, like dark red, dark green, to kind of mute it down. And I think they have walked this line of a full collector set richness really perfectly. I can't really describe it better than the balance is just so on point. I absolutely love it. So having talked about the exterior and the colours and the absolute delights that you find there, I think we need to move into the interior. So here we have it. So when I talk about the richness of the colours, this is especially well portrayed on the interior. I think we are looking here at a lot of reddish brown, which is an obvious colour, but like dark red, dark orange, so the richer, intenser colours that really make it feel vibrant, with some elements here and there that just make it really pop, like the printed rugs, which are beautiful, and I would like 500 more, please. So the interior feels warm and homely and kind of exactly how we imagined Bag End to feel. Obviously it's only a snapshot of the interiors, but there's a lot of little hidden Easter eggs and nice things in here, as well as just the fact that the door looks nice from the interior. I really appreciate. I'm glad that it doesn't look like the one that we've seen before. I also really appreciate the furniture builds inside of this house itself. I think it's a masterclass in simple yet effective furniture buildings. I also really like the recolor of the pen pieces into white, which showcase waxing candles, or like candles dripping with wax. In one of the sets you add a decorative pine cone to kind of showcase the difference in scale. So it says, because everything is Hobbit scale, the pine cone's actually really large compared to the furniture, because that's the one thing that obviously isn't Hobbit scale, because it's just a pine cone. And they used the French hedgehog element for it, and I just love it. I think it's a brilliant use of parts. It's just such a nice little detail. It made me really happy. So the door of the actual Bag End set is brick built in this set, and I think that is a fantastic decision, just because it means that if you wanted to make more little buildings around your Shire, you can make doors in different colours with the same technique, which I think is really accessible and fun for that reason. As you would expect with LEGO, of course, there is multiple Easter eggs and little nods to the movies. Now I have to say, as mostly a book fan, it's very movie based, which makes a lot of sense if you look at how LEGO translates themes across the board, but this is very movie based. In this set we have the envelope in which Bilbo gives Frodo the ring in the fire smouldering, and there's a play feature where you can flip the little switch on the side to showcase the ring. I think that's about the only real play feature in the actual Bag Ends, and it's such an effective little subtle one. Thought that was a brilliant addition. Additionally, the other elements and nods to other things in this book you can find is a map of the Lonely Mountain on the table. There is the deed of contract on Bilbo's desk from the dwarves before he went out on his adventure. There's the red book, as well as the first title page reading There and Back Again, as well as the oak tree above the fireplace, On the other fireplace, we see two portraits of Bilbo's father and mother, which actually are modelled after Peter Jackson and his wife. I have to say I really disliked having to attach the round stickers. They are probably my least favourite to attach. They're just so hard to centre. But overall, there weren't that many stickers, and obviously because there was quite a few prints, I could forgive them better. We obviously also have the iconic no admittance sign on the gate, which obviously we cannot leave off. That's the only exterior sticker that we get. There is none on the side builds. Hi, editing Johanna here. I just wanted to note that I had also noticed the silver spoon in the chest by the front door, which I think represents the gift that Bilbo gives to Lobelia, and I thought that was very funny. I just wanted to make sure that people knew that I'd noticed it and had a little chuckle about it. Thank you. That is it for Bag End for the moment. I think we need to divert our attention to all the side builds that this set come with, because let's not forget, this set is called The Shire, and if I'm being really brutally honest for a moment, I think it would have been much more appropriate titled either Bag End or Bilbo's Birthday, just because there is only one building in the set. There is no other side builds apart from a few details for the birthday party, which actually on their own are really small. So I think The Shire is possibly a slightly grand name for this set itself. Though I like the side builds, I feel like a bit take them or leave them with them. They are fun to build, they're a nice little addition. They actually are the main reason this set feels so lively, but they don't really add that much to this set. They aren't really the reason I would be buying this or not. My favourite side build, of course, is Gandalf's wagon. It's actually only a really small side build, though I have a few things to note about it. It's obviously not very big, but it's not very big in the movie either, and I like that they use completely different pieces to the one that we've seen previously. It feels very modern. There's a lot of round shapes. The only two things I probably would like to change is the side panels that they used. Because you use them upside down, you can see the injection mold really clearly, and on that piece especially, it's a such noticeable little defect that you can't hide, and I know a lot of people that like LEGO would like to hide those things. You really can't with this wagon, and it's very obvious, and I think actually modern LEGO has had worse injection mold marks on their pieces than old LEGO does. But that's a completely side tangent that we need to discuss some other time. The other thing I probably would have liked is if those side panels, if you're going to include them, would have had some sort of sticker or print on them to kind of indicate that it's woven in the actual movie. And the other really fun one is obviously the party tree with the Bilbo birthday banner, which I think is so beautiful. However, that probably brings us on to the fact that the side builds include two cloth pieces, and as we all know, if you're a LEGO fan, cloth pieces do not come very cheap, and considering how large these things are, I would wager a bet that they have added greatly to the price of this set. In the case of the Bilbo birthday banner, I think he is beautiful, very great, but the canopy of the tent I do not feel like I necessarily needed. But obviously, because we are depicting Bilbo's birthday party, we do need at least one tent. The other thing is, if you look at Bag End, it's beautiful, modern, detailed, fantastic. The side builds feel very different. They feel much more basic. I think if you look, first of all, to the party tree build, which is probably my least favourite build of this entire set, and I think actually possibly takes the level of building techniques down. I think the party tree is incredibly basic, especially because it's depicting the party tree, which is literally described as this beautiful, grand, special tree that like is just the heart of the Shire. It's just really basic and very square, and it's compared to the beautifully modern organic looking tree on top of Bag End, it just doesn't do it justice. I kind of wish it wasn't there, because at that point I don't have to highlight it and kind of take my opinion down a little bit. What is really fun though is the birthday banner, as well as the little disappearing feature, which is like fun, but again, very take it or leave it in my opinion. Other side builds include the big birthday cake, which actually was made of foam and caught fire during filming, as well as obviously Gandalf's wagon, which we've talked about, as well as the little stand on which Merry and Pippin launch their firework, which you can build either with the firework exploded or with the firework build. And the firework build for the dragon firework is really fun and very simple, and I thought was a funny addition, but it's a very plain little addition. I do not really need it. The technique used to build the tent is quite fun, but I would recommend before you actually attach the canopy, fold it along all the lines that you want to have it folded over, so that once you attach it to the actual structure, it folds correctly and it looks really neat, because you can't really easily fold it very neatly once it's on. So that takes me on to the conclusion. What do I think of this set? Well, I feel like you probably know what I think of the set by now, because I've gone into quite a lot of detail. However, I think this is a fantastic looking set. I think Bag End especially, let's not have it hidden anymore behind me here, is a marvel of modern LEGO techniques and details. It comes with such wonderful figures. It's easy to say this, of course, but it's a must-have for any Lord of the Rings fan. It's stunning, it will look beautiful on any shelf. If you have some space for it, you would like to display this, I'm sure, because it's just such a delight. After being initially skeptical, I actually think that the large, round, bright green slopes and colours are the right way to go, and it just looks really beautiful, and it just pops and makes me happy every single time I look at it. Generally, when I look at this set, I hear fiddle music and I feel like I'm part of the Shire. It's really giving you that feeling which I get when I watch the Shire on screen. This set is obviously set to be expensive, not quite Rivendell level, but it is still a licensed theme with some unique elements. Just expect it to hurt your wallet a little bit, but if there is one criticism I have that probably is pervasive throughout is I probably personally would have preferred less side builds and just a lower price point for just bag end, because bag end is the thing that makes me happy. The side builds are just very take it or leave it. I think I've made that very clear. The size of the set is also surprisingly bigger than I thought based on the images, so that is a very nice surprise when you're building it, and I currently have it living on my bookshelf in my living room and I just love looking at it. It makes me so happy. It's probably, after Rivendell, one of my favourite sets I've built recently, and it's obviously a huge amount to do with how much I love the actual location. And I really hope if you do get this set, you'll have as much fun building it as I did. If you're a diehard Lord of the Rings fan, I do feel like you're probably going to want this set. If you're not a diehard fan, but you do love cottagecore, castle, that kind of stuff, this is probably going to be a really good part set as well as figures set for you, but the price tag may be slightly more prohibitive, shall we say. That being said, I'm so happy to display this. It's actually one of the ones that is in my house rather than just tucked away in the Lego room because it's so beautiful. I can't wait for mocks and mods based on this set. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Shires popping up around the place and I cannot wait for it.